As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Today on What the Hack, Marie Kondo meets a listener's garage.
We hear how sparking joy could lead to
really needing to spark a joint.
Welcome to What the Hack, a show about hackers, scammers, and the people they go after. I'm Adam Levin.
I'm Beau Friedlander.
And I'm Travis Taylor.
So, Massimo, we want to talk a little bit about, who you are, where you're from. So, first thing is, where are you coming to us from right now?
I currently live in the Greater Toronto area, just north of the border.
So that would make you a hockey fan.
A hockey fan, hockey player, enthusiast all the way around.
Maple Leafs fan, Canadiens fan?
Long-suffering Maple Leafs fan, unfortunately.
Well, as a long-suffering New York Rangers fan, which depends upon the year whether we're happy or not, I feel your pain. Anyway, what brings you to the show today?
I'll tell you what, I moved earlier this year. It was a 4-bedroom house, moved into another 4-bedroom house, and it was a very large ordeal. So I decided to, lighten the load a little bit and get rid of a lot of junk that I just don't need. So, a lot of our stuff, rims, winter tires, things like that, and grills, exercise equipment. So I posted a bunch of ads on Gigi, which is, I guess, Canada's version of Craigslist.
Did you say Gigi or Kiji or what did you say?
It's Kijiji.
Kijiji.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like Kmart meets a cute French girl.
That's basically. It's exactly like Craigslist. And I don't know why, but for some reason, Kijiji just became the place. It wiped out Craigslist here in Canada. I decided to also, advertise on Facebook Marketplace as well, because there's a lot more activity on that platform these days.
As someone who's never actually used Facebook Marketplace, I'm a little in the dark here. Can you walk us through the process of it?
Yeah, well, it's very similar. It's like free, basically, and what you do is you just post your item. You post pictures. Usually you can post, I think, up to 10 or 12 photographs and a description and what you're asking, dollar-wise, etc. And people on Facebook, they have different groups that you can actually advertise on. So you can advertise on, the Greater Toronto Area group, or there's 5 counties around the Toronto area, each one of the county groups, etc. So, and then there's ethnic groups too. There's the Russian group and there's the Iranian group and so on and so forth. There's a big Chinese community here too. So they have the Chinese group. And so you just advertise, you wallpaper Facebook Marketplace with your ad, and you get a lot of eyes on it. It's very effective.
What was the weirdest thing that you were selling on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji?
I have 2 trucks, and I had a bunch of extra tires and rims, like winter tires on rims. And I also have a propane grill and a gas grill that connects directly to the house, and a charcoal grill. So I didn't need all 3. So I was getting rid of the gas grill. And just like I said, things like that, big stuff, big bulky stuff that just takes up a lot of room and is very heavy and you don't want to move.
So you were selling rims, tires, and some grills, one grill. And what's the price range of these things? Where are we in price range?
Well, north of $500. Some of the rims are $2,000.
Okay.
So they're not
Adam?
small ticket, but they're not huge, big ticket items either.
Well, we want you to know that you are speaking to one of the cognoscenti of online marketplace denizenry, Mr. Bo Friedlander, who is our representative to sell all things online.
That is, I have had some pretty incredible experiences, many of them negative, selling things through everywhere from eBay to Craigslist to Facebook. But Facebook Marketplace is really good for one thing, and that is giving things away. If you just want to get rid of stuff and you say free, oh man. And you know what else is really great about it, Massimo? Is you meet the funniest people. The ones that come for the free stuff, they're the good ones. They're hilarious.
Bo tried to give me away for free on Facebook Marketplace, but unfortunately, nobody was interested.
Oh no, they didn't pass the sniff test, but I got a lot of offers out of them. None of them seemed like they were very safe.
Oh, well, thank you for protecting me.
No, but I've been selling a 1974 Ford Country Squire that someone gave to me. They didn't want it anymore. And I didn't really understand what was going on until I tried to sell it. Oh my gosh. It's been online for people come, they kick the tires, they smear a pancake on the windshield, they leave. It's incredible. And it's also incredible the number of people who come through trying to do a scam on you, and you're selling the thing. You're not buying the thing, you're selling the thing. Did you have any experiences with that sort of thing?
Well, with the grill in particular, I had a really interesting experience with a woman who approached me, and it was really interesting. She contacted me. She was interested in the gas grill that I was selling, and it was really straightforward and a little too easy. She said, I want it.
Generally, on these marketplace sites, everybody negotiates. You had somebody who basically said, I don't need to negotiate. You got a deal. It seemed too good to be true, right?
Someone just pressed the easy button. So it was a little bit peculiar, and it didn't seem right. I just decided to see where this was going. So she then continued and said she was busy. She would send the courier. They'd come to my home, but she explained that they would come that day at 3 p.m. And then she proceeded to tell me that she needed my name, first and last, okay, my address, the city I live in, the postal code, so zip code basically, the price, and my email. And also the time of passage, whatever that meant. So
I just Googled time of passage to see if it was some sort of, term of art. It's not. It's just poetic. And poetry is sometimes the byproduct of bad English, and that sounds like what it was here. Did you get a sense? Did you actually speak to this person, or was it all just via DM?
It's suspecting it was a bit of a scam. I responded saying, hey, listen, you know what? I can't really see your ID, your profile, so maybe you can send me your phone number. And she went dark. So it was at that point that I actually DM'd Adam, and I said, hey, have you guys ever heard of this particular scam? Because I think I have one on the line, and let's see what this one's all about. And to my surprise, actually, Adam checked with you guys, and he said, nope, nobody's heard of this one yet. Seems like a new one. So let's see what happens. So I reached back out to her and I said, are we still on for 3 p.m.? And again, she responded saying, oh, I need your demographic, all of that information that I just explained.
Now, hold on. Did she say your demographics? What did she actually say?
No, he said, I'm still waiting for your information so that I can place the order.
Now let's go through the information. She wanted your name, your full name.
Yep.
She wanted your email address.
Correct.
She wanted your actual residence address.
Yep.
And
Including zip code,
which would include a zip code. And anything else?
phone number.
Your phone number.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened next?
I didn't comply. I didn't give her any of that information. I just, I got back to her about 3 hours later and I said, we had a big storm that had passed through the area at that time. So I said, hey, power was out. I didn't get a chance to get back to you. Are we still good to go? Are we still on? And she went dark. And then I reached out to her again the following morning and still no answer.
Okay.
So that's where the trail ended. And
I guess she figured the jig was up.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like there's much dancing going on. I have a theory. So I'll tell you, Massimo, I have a guy coming. I really do have a guy coming tomorrow. He has been in touch. We've talked on the phone. And the only reason I gave him my address was because we did talk on the phone and I could tell that he really was a guy who had the skills to fix the car. His voice sounded like the voice of a guy who could fix a car. And I believed him. Here's the thing about scammers is they're good at getting you to click on a button or to make a mistake. They're not always such good actors. So that's why often they won't get on the phone with you. This guy is coming tomorrow. Maybe he's going to steal my stuff. He now has my address. And if he wants to steal the Country Squire, God love him. Go ahead, because I need to get that thing out of my garage. I'm not quite sure that anything more maleficent happened here than the two of you were playing defense and it made a sale impossible. That's what I'm guessing, actually. I'm guessing that this person wasn't trying to scam you. They were trying not to be scammed, and you were trying to not be scammed. And the both of you, in the process of trying not to be scammed, were unable to make a transaction on Facebook Marketplace, which for me makes perfect sense because you have to be super careful on Facebook Marketplace.
But now I get to add my favorite part. But wait, there's more. So,
Cue the sound of another shoe dropping.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Travis, you keep talking about Backblaze. What is it?
It's a backup service, but it's an industry leader in it. It's cheap. It's only $7 a month, and it gives you unlimited computer backup for anything involving Macs, PCs, your business. It does it all.
Wait, Backblaze?
Backblaze.
What would I use it for?
It can really easily protect your business data as well as your personal files, and it does it through this centrally managed administrative interface.
Does that mean you can access it anywhere in the world?
Anywhere using their web app, and you can also access your backed up files through iOS and Android, so it's a very complete service.
What happens if your internet connection is too slow for a web download?
You can have a hard drive sent to you, and if you return it within 30 days, you can get a full refund.
Adam, you are super worried about accidentally deleting files, and for $2 a month, is that right? That doesn't seem like it's right. You can increase your retention history to 1 year. That's bonkers.
Right. They've restored over 55 billion with a B files for customers.
Yeah, what is this free, fully featured, no credit card required trial? Travis, what is the website?
It's backblaze.com/hack. And that's for us at What the Heck.
If you own a business, click on Business Backup in the navigation and start backing up your business data.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one who's a total fanboy for this. The New York Times recommended it, Inc., Macworld, PC World, LifeWire, Wired, really all the major technology reviews review websites and publications out there are all pretty much in agreement that it is a really solid service at a great price point.
Receive a fully featured 15-day, no credit card required free trial.
Visit backblaze.com/hack, and they'll know you came from What the Hack, I'm guessing, and that will help you continue to support this show, which we know you love.
Start protecting yourself from potential bad times. Start today.
$7 a month. No gimmicks, no add-ons or gotchas. That's pretty cool.
For a 15-day, no credit card required free trial, sign up at backblaze.com/hack. That's backblaze.com/HACK.
Massimo, you had a frustrating experience trying to sell a used grill online. Those not so convinced it was a scam. What happened that made you think something more might be happening?
I had some conversations with some people in my circle, and this all happened on a Thursday, Friday. On the Sunday, my family came over for dinner, and I was explaining to my sister and my brother-in-law what had happened, and they said, "That's really funny. We had the same experience just this week." Now, it was a different ID, but the scam was the same, and it also involved TNT. So they were selling a piece of exercise equipment, a piece of gym equipment, and it was the same thing. Send us your name, your address, your phone number, your email, and we'll send TNT with the cash to pick up the piece of equipment. And my sister, I think she smelled a rat, basically, and she reached out to my nephew, who's a really smart kid, and he's like, no, this is a scam for sure. Don't send them any of your information. And so they actually had screen grabs from the conversation, on their phone, and they showed me, and it was identical. The other thing is, one of the guys that I play hockey with, his brother-in-law actually the brother-in-law sent him his name, his address, all of that information. Then the woman, who incidentally was the same woman who had reached out to me, he said, "Oh, now I've placed the order with the courier company, but they need $100 to insure the package, to insure the item. So when they get, here, you're going to have to pay $100 up front, and then I will reimburse you along with the rest of the cash that they're going to bring in the envelope."
And what were they selling?
An elliptical machine, a piece of gym equipment.
Okay, so they had a buyer, and the buyer wanted to buy the elliptical machine. I'm curious, did they also negotiate the price?
No negotiation on price. I saw the actual text, no negotiation, just, "We'll take it, send us your info."
And then, so how did we get to the part where they're sending a courier if they didn't send their contact information as requested?
Okay, so now we have a third incident, and this involved a gentleman who I play hockey with.
Okay.
And one of his family members actually, they didn't get scammed, but they got, extorted, so to speak, to send the insurance money. And it was, that was the eye-opening piece. So what happened was the same thing. They were selling a piece of sports equipment. The same woman who had reached out to me, so the same profile, somebody using that same Facebook profile, reached out to this gentleman and said, "I'll take it. Send me your name, your address, your phone number, all of that fun stuff." He complied. He sent the information.
Okay, so he went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Did he go down the rabbit hole with the flashlight on his forehead?
Oh, yeah.
In what form was she, assuming this was actually a she you were dealing with, in what form was she requesting the money?
So that was going to be done through PayPal.
All right, so your friend has said, "Great, you're going to buy my thing." Did he share his contact info the way he was requested?
He shared his contact info the way he was requested.
And it was his contact info?
Yep, his home address, all of that.
Now, is this a guy who likes to throw his gloves off and beat the crap out of people in the ring?
He's a goalie, so he basically likes to have, galvanized rubber flying at his head at 100 miles an hour. So he thinks he's got a deal. He thinks a courier is going to be showing up at his doorstep to pick up this piece of sports equipment, and gets another DM from the woman advising him that the courier needs insurance in order to pick up the package, and that he needs to send $100 via PayPal to insure the package. And she claimed she would reimburse them the $100 via the envelope with the cash for the item that they were purchasing.
Your friend knows, and your friend is sort of smilingly like, "Oh, you want $100, huh?"
Yeah, but it got ugly.
So the gloves came off.
I think at that point understood what was going on, that, he was just basically going to lose $100, and there was no, courier to his door to pick up anything. So he said, "No, sorry, no deal. I'm not sending you $100. And then the response was, "I've already contracted out the courier to come to your house. And if you don't send me the $100 or send them the $100, I'm going to sue you."
Oh, wow. So we're talking to a 4-year-old.
So, first we had the carrot, now we have the stick.
Well,
Right.
but it's also clearly a person who doesn't understand jurisprudence very well, because it's very, very foolhardy to think you can sue somebody for $100, and if someone's going to buy it, yeah.
Yeah, well, people are afraid, like, now you have my name, you have my address, you know where I live. It's like, maybe I'm better off just paying the $100 and, not having to worry about it. But then what's next?
What's next is you capture a blue heron or some other wading bird, put it in a burlap sack with enough food to keep it alive, and you send it to them. So when they open it up, it's really pissed off, and they have big beaks and it hurts. I don't know what you do, Massimo. I think that you're screwed.
Yeah,
A condor. You send them a condor. That'll do it.
How much was the elliptical selling for anyway?
They were looking for $500, and yeah, they weren't going to get it. But
But
that's
Travis,
right.
your $500 thing doesn't work in Canada because it might not be the same law.
I know.
So, Massimo, you may not know, but in the United States, $500 is grand larceny, and so they'll do $4.99 or something. But
in Canada, you get 4 years for murder. So I mean, basically, these kinds of crimes have slap on the wrist kind of penalties. Like, the laws here are really brutal. Like, the enforcement is brutal. The laws are still there, but the enforcement is not.
where did we end up? So, did he decide to give the $100 to see what happened, or did he leave it there?
He just blocked her and walked away, figuring, what, it's a scam, and let them come and get me if they want to.
Yeah, the most that ever happened. So Massimo, I'm so glad to hear this story, because as Adam, why don't you actually tell Massimo why I'm so glad to hear this story?
Well, Bo, first of all, loves scamming scammers.
Yeah, I do.
Bo lives to scam. Now, his scammers seem to be more reasonably priced than your scammer. Because
Well, no, I
his
get
scammers.
scammers. I get scammers going after some money sometimes, Adam.
Well, no, you have one guy that wanted $30
$35.
Even
yeah,
when you-
Tom.
or $35, and you offered him several hundred to be on the show. And the
I
response of
offered
the
him.
scammer.
I offered him $10,000,
Oh, wow.
and he was like, "Well, that sounds like a scam." It's like, are you kidding me? Really? But no, what I get more often than not when I do this, when I put my own headlamp on and go down the rabbit hole, is if you
It's a bunch of scared rabbits.
no, eventually the rabbit turns around and goes, "F you and f your mother," and then you're like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you heard me. F you. Don't you have anything better to do?" And I was like, "Don't you have anything better to do?"
You're trying to scam me?
Oh,
But
my God.
they obviously, you can see they operate based on a very closely scripted conversation.
Oh, you guys, I'm on Tinder and Bumble, okay? And
Wow.
if you want to see tightly scripted conversations, I should send you some screen grabs. Like, it's always the same thing. It's always a nice young Asian woman, and it's always like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Whatever. And then instantly it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not on here very often. Are you on Telegraph or WhatsApp?" And they immediately try to get you off of the platform so they can bring you onto WhatsApp and sell you Bitcoin or whatever.
Well, and that oxytocin can really get a guy to be pretty stupid pretty fast. But, also a woman pretty stupid pretty fast. It doesn't matter what sex you are. If there's sex on the table, it's amazing how dumb people become and how quickly.
Yeah. But it's just so funny. It's a boilerplate. Like, it's just so amazing how they all use the same exact boilerplate.
I can also hear Bumble coming back at me and saying, we're not about sex, sir. We are trying to set up people up in relationships.
Not really.
I don't know, Adam. Do you have any misgivings about the information grab part of this?
I do. When you give away any of your personal information, especially because it can be, especially because it can be combined with information that you already have through purchases on the dark web or you've gotten through data breach disclosures. All of that together creates a mosaic. And every one of those bits of information is a tile that goes into that mosaic. The more they get, the clearer the mosaic, the more they can represent themselves as being you. And of course, Canada has one specific twist that we don't have in the U.S., and that is in the U.S., you can freeze your credit. In Canada, except for one province, you can't freeze your credit.
Yeah, just bane of my existence, to be honest with you. It's like, I was going to ask you the same question. Like, how do we do what you've done in the States to change the rules here so that we can freeze our credit? Because it's brutal that we can't. I mean, it's almost a crime right there.
Well, it's got to be based on legislation or the willingness on the part of the two credit reporting agencies that operate in Canada, which is Equifax and TransUnion, as to whether they're willing to do that for people. Now, of course, in the U.S., after the Equifax breach, Equifax, as part of a settlement, agreed to make the ability to freeze your credit free. But again, we had the ability to freeze your credit in the U.S. You don't have it in Canada.
Yeah. And I guess there's a financial cost to them as to why they're not providing that service. Like, I can't understand how it doesn't, how it hurts them to offer that, because it's such an important thing. Like, I work for a financial institution and I work closely with wealth management, and I'm telling you, the things you see and people just losing, hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars in scams. It's soul crushing.
One thing that we keep coming back to, be it in the US or Canada or really anywhere else in the world, is that the public awareness of scams just isn't there yet. People are not aware enough about the risks that they're facing with their data. And until they become more aware, until there's more public pressure to pass more legislation, we're going to keep on seeing things like not being able to freeze your credit easily in Canada, or in the US having a difficulty being able to report any kind of scam or identity fraud to the authorities.
Yeah, I understand that in the US, if you're trying to freeze your child's credit, for example, it's a big ordeal and there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. So,
not an inordinate number of hoops. It's more that you have to convince them that you are the parent or guardian of this individual, as opposed to somebody trying to steal their credit or their identity. And it's worth it. And it doesn't take all that much time. And if you can do it, you should do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, as somebody who looks at, managing risk, basically, on a day-to-day basis, it would make a lot more sense if everybody's credit was frozen as a default. And if you needed to unfreeze it, then you had to go through hoops to do that. I don't understand why the system hasn't sort of caught up with the times, because unfortunately, it's not making a lot of sense. Like, we used to, in the 90s, the big scam was people would sell your house out from underneath you, So grandma has a house, the mortgage is paid off, and all of a sudden a moving truck shows up in front of her house and there's a family ready to move in, and somebody's stolen the title and, sold the house from underneath her. So then you were able to buy title insurance. Well, now you have to buy title insurance as part of the transaction. Whenever you buy or sell a house, you have to, when you buy a house anyway, they force you to buy title insurance.
Wait, now let's back up a little bit, because you know what? You just said something, if I may say so, with a swear word. Brilliant. Massimo, say everything you just said again about people, about the preset, the default setting being that everyone's credit should be frozen. I think that is a brilliant idea. Tell us your theory. Massimo, what do you think the solution is to this problem? Like, what could be a better way of approaching our credit so that it wasn't so easy to steal stuff from us?
Well, because it's 2023 and not 1923, I think it's we should look at credit a little differently. And, the default should be that everybody's credit is frozen so that when you need to use your credit or you need to, transact, you then log in and unfreeze your credit. But making, consumers, people, individuals, children who don't even really have credit yet, leaving their credit wide open so that they can be victimized is the biggest crime of all. I think it should be the other way around.
Amazing. Wow, so I think that you should run for commissioner of something up there in Toronto.
Well, we've been blessed to have Ann Cavoukian on the show, and she is the former privacy and information commissioner up in Ontario.
Yep.
And, her whole thing is privacy by design, and where privacy should be a default. And privacy and credit protection, identity protection, they all go hand in hand.
Yeah, Ann Cavoukian is a very, very well-respected, privacy guru here in Ontario. And you're right, she was our privacy czar here in Ontario for years, and she fought the good fight, but, she also ran into a lot of obstacles trying to make things better for everybody.
Listen, based on our conversation today, you could be the next Ann Cavoukian.
Those are big shoes to fill.
Hey, I don't think that she would say that she has big feet. You should take that back.
Yeah, she might be a little sad by that, but she is a remarkable woman. And the exciting thing is her concept of privacy by design is now being adopted worldwide.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the GDPR is based on the theory that privacy should be by design and that it should be the default, which is really always very frustrating when you think about the fact that privacy isn't the default in this country. And as a matter of fact, in many cases, you have to pay for it to get something more private. So we can't thank you enough for joining us. We've had a great conversation. We love your concept of credit freezes by default. And just keep fighting back those scammers, because they're going to come after you every day, unfortunately.
Well, you guys are doing the Lord's work, gentlemen, and thanks a lot for having me. And I'm a big fan of the show, and, all the best. Keep it up.
Thank you, Massimo. It's really nice to meet you.
Likewise, and honestly, I'm a big fan, and I think you guys are doing amazing stuff. So thanks a lot for having me. And if I stumble across anything else interesting, cool, reach out again.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Cheers.
Bye.
Lauren.
Mike.
So we host a podcast for Wired called Gadget Lab.
We do.
We do.
Yes, that is correct.
Tell the good people some more about it.
Well, I think the good people should definitely tune in every week because they get to hear me roasting you.
Hey, now.
All right. No, really, what Gadget Lab is Mike and I tackling the biggest questions in the world of technology. I like to think of it as the best of Wired's journalism, but in audio form. We cover the big news of the week in Techland, but we also offer our expert analyses and opinions on all things consumer tech, whether that's mobile apps, hardware, startups, cryptocurrency. Mike, what's been a recent highlight episode for you?
We did a deep dive on the group behind the massive Okta hack. We also had a great conversation about Web3 and the metaverse. What stands out for you?
Never met a verse you didn't like. I really enjoyed our recent podcast about Peloton. And recently, the legendary tech journalist Kara Swisher joined us to talk all about Elon Musk and the future of Twitter. So I guess we should tell people how they can listen to our pod.
We release a new episode of Gadget Lab every week, and you can listen and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod.
So, Bo and Adam, you guys know I'm a bit of a privacy geek, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, totally. I really just don't like the idea that just about anyone can find you online, can find out where you live or your email address or your phone number or anything. I just think that entire idea is super creepy.
There's so much of my data already out there, but is there something that you can do?
Yeah, actually, you can use Delete Me. Delete Me is a service that pretty much does the heavy lifting for you, where they go to all the data brokers that they have on file and just pull your data and delete it on a regular basis.
I use it. I like it. And they make it quick, easy, and safe to remove your personal data online.
Well, yeah, with these data brokers, they can accumulate huge amounts of your personally identifiable information. And if all that information gets into the hands of a bad actor, that opens you up to a lot of risk.
And if you act now, you can get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/WTH and use promo code WTH. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/WTH and enter promo code WTH at checkout.
That's joindeleteme.com/WTH, promo code WTH, which stands for What the Hack. And we thank you for supporting Delete Me and What the Hack.
Massimo's story really does highlight some of the dangers of selling stuff online. So I figure that'll make a good tinfoil swan.
Are you saying it's time for our tinfoil swan?
Our paranoid takeaway to help keep you safe on and offline.
I'm not comfortable with this, guys. We're not doing it the way we usually do it, but okay, fine. So what is the topic today? I guess it's like staying safe when you're buying stuff from Facebook Marketplace and other places like it.
And selling stuff.
Which Bo happens to be the world expert on things such as this.
I have sold stuff. I have been scammed. And you know, the thing is, there's sort of like the scam light, L-I-T-E, that happens too.
So, Bo, what's your definition of a scam light?
Well, scam light means that they may not actually be intending to scam you, but they're scamming you nonetheless. So I had a guy buy a very fancy water filter from Guinevere that she no longer wanted to use because it had plastic in it. She didn't want plastic and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we're getting rid of it. And I packed it up, and I didn't pack it up perfectly, but I packed it up well enough, and it got there, and there was some water in the box because I hadn't drained it entirely. Well, the guy then decided he was going to try and put it together, and he did it wrong. And when he did it wrong, he broke it.
Oh.
Instead of copping to the fact that he broke it, you break it, you own it. He said, you know, it was wet when it came here, it was broken. It was wet when it got there. That was my bad. The part that was his bad was that he broke it. So what ended up happening was I was out $1,000 because he said it came broken, which it didn't. He was patently lying. The way that it was broken, it could not break that way unless it was assembled and then ripped apart. In other words, he put it together, thought he did it wrong, didn't know how to get it apart again, and broke it.
Well, the question is, were you really out $1,000 since your beloved wanted it out of the house and you did try to sell it? Technically.
No. So, all right, I wasn't out $1,000. Fair enough. But it was like Thomas, the lottery guy, giving away his fortune. I was out $60, $70 because I was out the insurance, I was out the shipping, I was out the transaction money that eBay got. So I was out some money. And I think actually it was around $100 that we were out on that one. And I was not happy about it. The other kind of scam that you're going to run across is people looking for, as Massimo was saying, your personal information to do other kinds of crimes on you. That's the most common thing, is they're just trying to figure out a way to do a crime, whether it's the $100 and the shipping fee that's non-returnable or some other thing. The minute it gets complicated, run. Because if it's a little bit weird, it's almost certainly a scam when it's on these online marketplaces. Get on the phone with the person, make sure it's a real person, make sure it's someone you want to do business with. That's my advice.
We often tell people to use an alias online, but can you actually do that with a Facebook Marketplace?
You can't on Facebook Marketplace. No, I think that's a good point. And it's like important to know when you're going in that you can't hide. You have to go in and say where you are. Now, one tip is I now, with the Country Squire, I have been going down to the Mark Twain Library, which is just down the street from us, to meet people because I don't want them at my house. Now, I realize that somebody could probably look at my name on Facebook and figure out through public records where I live if they really wanted to do that. Open source intelligence is always going to be able to get all this information, which is why I really don't take those kind of threats seriously. Whether or not you freeze your credit, maybe you can't freeze your credit, or you use an alias, maybe your alias is like paper thin and everybody knows exactly who you are because your IP address, it doesn't matter. Chances are, whatever you're doing, someone or something knows it's you.
And at this point, Bo Travis and I break out into a chorus of, "You can't always freeze your credit in Canada, but if you live in Quebec, you can do it all the time." And then Mick Jagger's in the background and dancing. And
I feel like you could do better than that. I've heard you sing better than that. That was bad.
it's true, but it was the first shot, you know? Think of it as like a first draft.
I want you to work on it, and then we're expecting a very good version on Friday.
Let's do Blame Canada instead.
Blame Canada! Blame Canada! With all their beady little eyes and flapping heads among the lies. Blame Canada!
But, for instance, do you operate using a Google number and also a separate email address from your real email address and your real phone number?
In theory, yes. You probably would want to use a Google Voice number and set up a discrete, with ETE at the end, email address. This is like in Travis territory. If we were doing things Travis style, we would be super safe. But I'm me, and so I just sort of like smell as I was telling Travis earlier, I just keep a katana sword near the car. So if they try anything funny, I go full, samurai, Kurosawa on them.
Well, for the non-katana wielding public, there are probably a couple of other things we can keep safe.
All right, like what? Come on, because I don't. I mean, I just sort of hope for the best and then sabotage myself.
A big one is using secure payment methods. If you pay someone in cash and you find out you get scammed, you are just completely you're out of that money. You will never get it back. If you use something like PayPal, however, you can actually file a claim against that. And it doesn't work all the time, but there is a chance that you can actually recoup some of your losses.
Yeah, PayPal will protect you. I'm cash only. I am here's your letter that says I'm selling you this thing as is. You give me the cash, you leave. We both sign it. That is, for me, the most ironclad way of doing business in these forums is you don't accept payment via any kind of app. You take cash only. And so as the buyer, it's perfectly fine too.
Another thing to consider, most people take a photo of the thing they're trying to sell with their phone. And they have to be very careful because these photos contain geotags.
That's right. Most of the time, any picture you take is going to have something called metadata in it, which will contain the GPS coordinates of where it was that you were taking that picture. And it's pretty easy to strip that information out. And if you do so, it's a great way to protect your privacy. If you're using Windows, you can just right-click on the photo where it says Properties. You just remove that. You can remove that information. If you're using an Android phone or tablet, same thing. You just open the picture before you post it online. Click Edit, and then remove your location. It's similar on iOS and Mac, but it follows most of the same beats. And it's something where it sounds paranoid, but at the same time, it's a great way just to make sure that you're not giving out any more information than you're intending to.
You certainly don't want to create the equivalent of a beacon that would
Right.
draw people to you.
The bottom line is when you're selling something online, you have to think about things like geotags, like what kind of information you're giving out and why, and then what the smartest way to get paid or to pay is to keep you safe. So if you're buying, the best way is through some way you can suck the money back. If you're selling, the best way is cash. So may the best person win.
Or to quote Shakespeare, that's our tinfoil swamp.
What the Hack with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media. You can find us online at adamlevin.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin.